Hello, friends. Grandmaster here. Occasionally I have overheard a spectator in the training hall say something along these lines. Well, that student doesn't look like they deserve that belt rank. Now, don't worry, in my mind, I've said it too when I thought I knew everything. I was wrong, and thank goodness we live in a place where you and I can both be wrong. We can also learn and do better. Let me see if I can explain it. Firstly, I find it incredibly disrespectful that anyone would dare to make a judgment like that, and especially say it out loud where the student, any other student, or parents could hear it. I attribute it to the person just not understanding how we do things and possibly an overestimation of their own knowledge and or ability. If, however, they have their own martial arts school with over 300 students and they have been teaching for 40 years and tested hundreds of people to black belt, then I'm all ears. However, instead of being sarcastic, let me try to educate everyone. Unlike public school, we don't have state mandated testing here at Ancient Ways, thank goodness. We evaluate each student based on what we know is their best ability, not some state mandated adjudicator who doesn't know that this student is ADHD, autistic, Down syndrome, has MS, a bad back, knee, shoulder, or is 86 years old. In a martial arts school, we teach students. I can teach Taekwondo, karate, ninjutsu, or Hapkido. I can do it all day long. But those things aren't going to learn. Instead, we teach people. Every person coming in that door is different. They all have different limitations, abilities, goals, learning styles, and personalities. Some will learn forms very quickly. Others may never be able to duplicate an intricate form. But it doesn't mean that they haven't achieved a high level. It's just that their high level looks different than others. We have many things we teach in a semester, and some students will dominate the core strikes, blocks, and kicks. Others are more about the grab defenses or weapon defenses. Others really do well with the grappling or combatives. Some love the forms and build their skills mostly from doing those. We offer all of these training methods so students of every learning style can progress. I've seen instructors fail students because their standards require that the student say certain things in Korean. I just can't wrap my head around that. Teaching it is great, but holding someone back because of it, it just doesn't make sense. Now, prior to black belt, we're building foundations, and students aren't going to look the same quality or skill level. Even at black belt, we have students of various skills and weaknesses that we have worked around to make them very capable martial artists. Whatever limitation a person has, they're going to have that limitation when they're being attacked. Teaching them things they can never do would be pointless. We teach each person as an individual. That way, we are working around their limitations, developing their own valid self-defense system. Now, we use a rotating curriculum here, which means that all beginner ranks, white through orange, are working on the same material. So are intermediates and then advanced. At the end of the semester, almost all of them progress. Some will have a stronger showing in certain things, some maybe not. But when they get to that black belt candidate rank, the red senior, the red belt with the black stripe, they will spend a minimum of 1 year going back and relearning everything that they built foundations for. Sometimes it's as long as 3 years. We are not a green belt school. We are a black belt school. We are playing the long game with our focus on how we can develop our students into the most capable martial artists over time. Now, have you ever seen a high-level gymnast, ice skater, or other athlete score poorly on something that was actually pretty superhuman? Or maybe you just couldn't figure out what the judges were looking at? We are those high-level judges, and we're looking for things you might not even be aware of. Did you know we're looking to see that a student pivots their standing foot 135 degrees while executing a roundhouse kick, side kick, or hook kick? On the hook kick, the pivot should happen slightly before the kick, and on the others, it should happen during the extension of the kick. The chamber on the side kick should be so that the knee comes as close to the chest as possible. But on the roundhouse kick, it should be more with the heel towards the bottom. Do we count off on these? These are not things you teach. These are things a student develops through repetitions. Building the neural pathways from the brain to the muscle to execute these motions takes time. If anyone is critical of a student, they risk making that student feel worthless and incapable, and they'll just quit and then never achieve their black belt. But if we praise their progress and encourage their growth, then someday they can experience the perfect, pure, and powerful moment where they earn their black belt too. Look, my goal is not to make my students as good as me. I want them to be much better. Holding them to my standards would impede that. I also don't want them to just be able to defend themselves today, tomorrow, or when they have their black belts. I want them to be able to defend themselves 20 years after they stop training. To do that, they must stick with it and build a strong system of muscle memory. Now, if at some point you feel the need to be critical of a student, I challenge you to get into class and do it too. And I hope that you do, because I don't know anyone that can't benefit from this training. Grandmaster out.